from Castle Goring, from Mickey, Aurora, and from me. Well, on Saturday I have a treat in store for you. An interview with Dan Wooten covering all sorts of subjects. The Prince and Princess of Wales, his travels, the decadence of certain mainstream media, the enlightening behaviour of a certain couple in California, etc., etc. I hope you're going to enjoy it. And he also addresses the matter of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. So, now I'm going to read out something that Kathy says, because I'm extremely chuffed with what she's had to say. Thank you, Lady C, for your YouTube. I was in a very bad place last year emotionally. Listening to you has been an education for me. I'm stronger due to your YouTube, having had a Meghan Markle type in my life. Your work is so important and valuable. Thank you once again. Kathy, you have no idea how something like that validates and makes really worthwhile what started out as mere entertainment. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm going to make an observation that several people have made. Meghan Markle and Harry indeed check all the boxes of the 7 deadly sins: greed, envy, gluttony, pride, lust, sloth, and wrath. Several people have sent that in. And I thought it was well worth repeating, because their behaviour suggests that they do indeed nurture the 7 deadly sins. And now I'm going to plunge in with what Paula Leas says. It's great seeing you being interviewed by YouTube creators. They certainly ask more interesting questions than the usual ones asked by the mainstream media. There was a woman in the crowd at Birkenhead that asked Meghan why she was being unkind to her father, and didn't she think she should go and see him. When the news broke that Harry and Meghan were leaving the UK, that was said to have been the catalyst for Meghan, because, quote unquote, the British press was giving the public a bad impression of her and didn't want to deal with them anymore. Do you think, Lady C, that Birkenhead seems to have been the place and time that gave Meghan the chance and the excuse to put into action something that she had been planning since the beginning? No, I actually don't think so. No. I don't think that Birkenhead was anything that either Harry or Meghan relished or wished to have happen. I think it happened accidentally. And, well, if she was worried about what somebody said when they asked a question about her behaviour towards her father, that would hardly qualify in any reasonable person's estimation of events as the press being mean to her, because she was the one being mean to her father. But of course, that would have been a neat way of diverting attention away from what really did happen at Birkenhead when there were malfunctions that caused various photographs to be taken and various alignments upon various possibilities which had not occurred to anyone before, notwithstanding the fact that the month before the Express had commented on the tremendous size of the bump as she sashayed onto the stage at the Royal Albert Hall, to the consternation of the presenter Rosamund Pike, the actress, who was gracious enough to stand back so that Meghan could present the award to the designer at Givenchy that she, Rosamund Pike, was supposed to be presenting. But I don't think that that was something that they were ever going to be comfortable using to make the journey from one side of the Atlantic to another. No, I don't think so. She may be the ultimate opportunist, but even she would have hesitated to make a big deal of Birkenhead when the press didn't mention anything about anything untoward happening. And also, she didn't need a specific excuse. She had been creating excuses from the very outset. Harry's friends were just jerks and creeps and so entitled and aristocratic and traditional and boring and just not relevant. I mean, they actually laugh and have a good time. And I mean, one tail left eye. They don't care about the world the way we do, H. She had, from the word go, once the wedding ring was on her finger, insofar as my information is concerned, she plunged right in, or as she put it, she hit the ground running, but not to work, to engineer the situation where life in Britain was so intolerable. I've got to go to Hollywood, Mr. DeMille. I'm going to be a great star. I am. Norma Desmond's got nothing on me. Absolutely nothing whatsoever. Nor does Deborah Winger. Nor does Julia Roberts. I'm so demure. I'm just so demure, Mr. DeMille. I'm so demure. Petra J says, Lady C, Prince Harry's US visa application papers have been handed over to a federal judge who will decide whether or not they should be made public. Can you tell us anything about this which might not be obvious to us? Oh, well, I suppose you're really asking, do I think that the trial is going to be fair? Well, it is before Judge Carl Nichols, who ordered the Department of Homeland Security to provide more information. And it has now been provided to the judge. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Carl J. Nichols. He was appointed to the District Court in 2019. He has a very good an interesting and balanced professional record. He graduated with honours from Dartmouth College. Then he went to the University of Chicago Law School, and he served as a clerk to Judge Lawrence B. Silverman of the Supreme Court of the United States, who was appointed by Ronald Reagan. Then he was under Justice Clarence Thomas, who was appointed by President George Bush I. So following his clerkships with both of them, he took up a position, and wait for it, at David Boyce's law firm, Boyce, Schiller and Flexner. Interesting. So he goes from one end of the spectrum to the other. But it becomes even more interesting because he then, he then left to serve in the US Department of Justice, first as a Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Civil Division, and then as the Principal Deputy Associate Attorney General. This was from 2005 to 2009. He then left and became a partner at Wilmer, Cutler, Pickering, Hale and Dorr. Hale and Dorr is an interesting law firm. It was founded in, I think, about 1918 or some such thing. And it's had a lot of really interesting people who played a large part, and often Republican. So then the firm amalgamated with Wilmer, Cutler and Pickering. So, but that's a much more recent law firm. That was 1962 it started, but it had interesting partners. The senior partner was Richard Wilmer. Then there was Cutler, Lloyd Cutler, who served as the White House counsel to Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton. And he also founded the Lawyers' Committee for Civil Rights under Law in 1962 and served on its executive committee until 1967. So you have somebody with an extensive, very eminent track record who appears to be even-handed and whose experience suggests that he will hopefully keep on the blindfold which is fundamental to the execution of justice. Let's wait and see, because the fact of the matter is that there are links to both political parties, but there are definite strong links to the Democratic Party. Now, I have said all along that it doesn't really matter whether the Republicans or Democrats are in power. the likelihood is that Harry, being the son of the head of state of one of the United States' main allies, if not its main ally, is going to be accorded preferential treatment. They're going to bend over backwards to make sure that any findings that are contrary to, shall we say, adulation are going to be massaged away as much as possible so that the British king is not embarrassed. That's my take on it. Am I being cynical? Let's wait and see. Patricia May says, I still wonder if the reason they left was because they were caught out about the circumstances surrounding Archie's birth and she didn't get her own way. That child's birth followed none of the protocols at all that are respected for the birth of a royal child. They certainly didn't. It certainly didn't. Do I think that's why they left? No, I think they went to the United States because they were hoping to be half in, half out and make themselves a shed load of money. Exploiting and abusing their royal position. That's my belief. I think also they did want a second child, and after the questions that started to be asked about her conduct during the pregnancy and her conduct following Archie's birth, and their conduct, including Harry asserting in front of the world that the baby had changed a lot in the 2 weeks that it had been born, notwithstanding the fact it had been officially born 2 days before. I think that they would have not been human. I need to be very careful how I phrase this. They would not have been human had they not sought rather cooler territory to which they would head and through which they would run barefoot, so that they were not going to have the soles of their feet scorched by too many penetrating rays. Let's put it that way. So I'm sure that the convenience of being in the United States for her next pregnancy was definitely a huge positive for being in the United States. Would they have gone for that reason alone? Well, I don't mean to be a cynic, but I'm sure the arrival of the next baby was always going to be easier and more comfortable and less fraught in the United States of America, where there was not going to be all of this scrutiny and oversight that had hitherto been a part of the custom regarding royal births, and which they had managed to circumvent with so many objections to the protocols, and they're beating the drum of how entitled they were to do what they wanted, notwithstanding the fact that any child who stands a good chance and is of becoming the monarch, which means any child who is close enough to the throne, has since 1689 been without a doubt delivered of the mother. Not, of course, for a second suggesting anything untoward at all. Minnie Newman says, Lady C, do you think if Charles had been king when the Sussexes had wanted half in, half out, he would have let them? I really don't think William would have agreed to it, and hopefully Charles' courtiers would have advised the king not to agree. But would Harry and Meghan have asked for a trial period to try this? But once the trial had ended, it was too late, and they carried it forward to make it permanent. I look forward to your chat every day. Well, Minnie Newman, thank you very much for the question. It's interesting to speculate. I think it's really fruitless to speculate because the whole situation took place under the watch of the late Queen. And she was very firm from the word go. But don't for a second think that she did not have Charles's input and did not refer to Charles. By that stage, Charles was involved in practically every major decision. It was a soft regency of sorts. The Queen was getting very old, and the handover in many ways had begun. Not that the Queen ever relegated ultimate decision making. She retained the right to that. But she consulted Charles in a way that she had not when he was younger and she was younger. She also made sure that he got red boxes as well. So he was up on all of the paperwork and all that was happening. So I'm not sure that he would have done anything any differently. In fact, I'm pretty sure he most likely would not have. And I'll tell you why. The king is not quite the pushover that people think he is. He may be soft-hearted and rather like his mother. He is very spiritual, very religious, very dutiful, but he has mettle as well. I do not think, bearing in mind what was going on, you see, the issue, as I tried to point out in my book, one of the main issues was Meghan's commercial activities and the fact that the royal family was already aware that Meghan was trying to milk the royal status the way a very greedy farmer over milks a cow. They were aware of it. They had put their foot down repeatedly in the past, they being the palace, to prevent Meghan from her plots, plans, and schemes to monetize her status. So they knew that there was a commercial agenda afoot. And as long as there was a commercial agenda afoot, that they were not going to condone Meghan's commercial activities while she was a working member of the royal family. She either had to be in or she had to be out. Because when she was in, they could say, no, you can't do that. And they could stop her in her tracks, which was her frustration and their annoyance. But if she moved to California, because believe me, that was her ultimate aim all along. And I'm pretty sure anybody who knew anything about her realized that. But whether it was California or Canada didn't make a difference. What made the difference was that the palace would be able to exert no control once she was abroad, because she could just do what she wanted and they would have no way of combating the untoward choices, insofar as they were concerned, she would be making. So with that in mind, whether it was Charles, William, or Elizabeth II, there was always going to be the understanding that they could not endorse Meghan and Harry's half in, half out, because that was going to give them, Harry and Meghan, the opportunity to simply create havoc and involve the royal family in all sorts of commercial activities which were strictly forbidden. So I hope that answers the question. Mara Baker says, even if Harry did come to some form of realization of his situation, where would he go? No one in the UK wants him back. He is definitely stuck between a rock and a hard place. Yes, you're right. But I think you're only right up to a point, Mara Baker. If he came to the realization and acted upon it, that he had got himself involved with an Iago and didn't want to end up being as destructive as Othello was, whether literally or figuratively is beside the point. Where would he go? Well, nobody wants him back here. I don't even think his father wants him back here for any length of time. Let me put it that way. That at least is my understanding. Not that he doesn't want to have some resolution to the problem, but he doesn't want him here. He wishes him well there. And he could go to Africa. He could go to Botswana. He can go anywhere in the Commonwealth, preferably where there are wild animals that he can mix with, that he can help to tend, that he can find some peace with. I don't see him coming back here. Oh, and if he does, it's going to be very much a Prince Andrew situation. Chrissy P says, hi, Lady C. I have seen a lot of posts this morning in the Daily Express, etc., saying that King Charles is thinking of inviting Harry and Meghan and the children to Balmoral this year. Do you have any knowledge about this? Thank you. Well, first of all, the King and Queen don't usually stay at Balmoral. They stay at their own house on the Balmoral estate. That's the first thing. The second thing is Harry has always had a standing invitation to go to Balmoral, and he and Meghan have not taken it up. The only time she wanted to muscle in was, Maid, I tell you, it was just amazing. There was Granny Lilibet, and she grabbed my hand and she said, Meghan, you have been my favourite grandchild of all time. Even though you're only an in-law, you have been a positive inspiration to me. And I'm going to hand over all responsibility and every bit of my legacy to you for you to nurse and take care of. And I had 2 tears, one left eye, and both trickled down, you see, and it was just so touching. I think we need to share it with Gail and Oprah and everyone else, don't you? I was so upset. Have I got 1 tear left eye still? Let's milk out another one. Don't know what's happening to my tear ducts today. I can see the advantage from Harry and Meghan's point of them going to Balmoral. The question is, I feel a head cold coming on. The question is, who would want to be there with them? That's number one. Number two, if when things had not degenerated to the point that they have, they refused to go, why would they be going now? And would they be taking the children? Oh dear, oh dear. Well, I suppose maybe they would do the old-fashioned thing of when children had, I think when they had measles and diphtheria, I think they used to shave their heads. So I wonder if the children, that would be a modern-day remedy for the children to be protected against any health issues. I'm being a little bit naughty and I'm being a little bit provocative, but I think being quite serious, the point is, would it suit them? And would it suit the family? Because can you imagine the acute discomfort that there would be if Meghan and Harry were staying at Balmoral with anybody else in the family? Maybe William and Catherine would be there as well as the children. And I'm sure little Charlotte can't wait to see Auntie Meghan again. Amelia Nunes says, Harry is trapped now. Harry's trapped as long as he wants to be trapped. You know, when you are trapped in a destructive environment, it behooves you to remember that your first responsibility is to yourself. The spiritual demands of being a human being are that you consider the well-being of your spirit, your soul, your person above all else. Yes, he's trapped. He has 2 children that she is involved with. He is trapped. But if he got some gumption, I'm here to tell you, I've come across some pretty ruthless people in my time. My mother, my ex-husband slightly, but his brother greatly. And they tried to destroy my life, and they didn't succeed. And I had no one backing me up except my God and my beliefs. Harry has a whole institution that would back him up if he took the decision to save himself and to save his family and to save his future. And quite frankly, to save what's left of his reputation. That's my take on it. Will he do it? When pigs fly. Unless, of course, he develops a backbone. Greater miracles have happened. I just don't think one is in the offing right now. Fab Shelley says, I encourage everyone to read this book, The Real Diana, if you haven't already. It's an incredible read, and you will see the similarities between Meghan and Diana. Lady C, I love your videos and look forward to them daily. I am in the US and would very much like to buy a hardcover of your latest book. I do not have a Kindle. Is there another way to order it in the USA, or does one of your sellers deliver overseas? Well, thank you very much for the article of faith regarding the Real Diana. I have to say, I wrote it so long ago, and I have a mind that works like this. Once I've written something, it's just disgorged, and I don't really have much of a recall. And the other day I had to look up something to answer a question, and there was stuff in it that I have to tell you I do not remember having written. Of course, I had to have written it. Well, insofar as my present book is concerned, I'm going to read out what Susan Parker says, because she provides the answer, as have other people. I'm in the US and I ordered mine from Blackwells. They will ship it to me on the 11th. Blackwells, Blackwells, Blackwells. Blackwells. It is a supplier of books in the United Kingdom, and they will ship to the United States of America. I think, Fab Shelley, you can also order it from American bookshops, but I suspect you will get the old version. So if you want the updated version, Persecutors or Victims, Blackwells in the United Kingdom is your answer. Okay, I hope that answers the question, and I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please keep the questions and comments coming in so I will know what you would like us to be speaking about. Thank you so much. God bless and goodbye. And if you have truly enjoyed this, would you please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and take good care. Bye-bye.